This is the bit, isn't it? That confuses me. It's like, did we choose to come here? This is the bit, isn't it? That confuses me. It's like, did we choose to come here to get this sorted out, or is this just seems a little unfair, doesn't it? That you know, we seem to be here and there's this parasite messing up our experience.
And you know, I know in my own life, the times that I've made major changes, it was like it became more painful not to change than to change. That was when I made big changes.
You know, it's this whole ridiculous narrative of, it's, you know, it's an unsafe world, there's not enough for you, it's scary, everyone's out to get you, and clearly the old civilization was completely the opposite to that. It was all about empowerment, like literally.
Cosmic resonance, I think they called that one. Or
Cosmic resonance, that's a better name.
Real science, you can actually produce free electricity, and this is part of what Tesla was doing, is the differential between the top of the spire to the ground actually creates an electrical differential that you then connect to another wire that goes into the ground, your grounding. Put that into the third phase in your circuit, and then you have a bell ringing circuit, and that actually produces plasma electricity out of the air. It's real technology. These things actually function producing electricity. It's crazy.
The movies are the truth and the news is the lies. They've completely flipped it.
You know, when you look at everything with new eyes and you come across information like she was born into a very wealthy family with elite connections, you know, it means something very different now to me than it would have even a few years ago. And it's our free will that they've really also messed with, because we've been lied to and we react based on lies. Just getting their independence and end up in civil wars for 20, 30 years happens a lot.
Because we keep choosing to pick up the gun and use it on ourselves instead of building and uniting and accepting that we are one people, one spirit, one harmony, on one plane that together, united, can achieve anything we dream of.
So do you want to, you know, wake up, or do you want to just keep going along because the change is too difficult?
And then give them pieces of information that they will then pursue themselves and look into, and then they'll wake themselves up.
I was going to mention, it's the whole red pill, blue pill of the Matrix. I mean, that of the movie. And you can consider that movie as a documentary because they're telling us something about what's happening here. So do you want to, you know, wake up, or do you want to just keep going along because it's...
Right, we are live. How is everybody doing tonight? Yes, it is a new paradigm. We are in a new age. It's all coming out. We're both figuring out the truth of how advanced our past was, losing the human amnesia, accepting our mistakes and our grander purpose and existence in the universe, and the quantum metaphysics and reality that comes with it. And with that, tonight we are going to be focusing on this stuff right here, monoatomics, and how to make some monoatomic gold-silver combination. I've got a second camera hooked up to be able to show everybody a little bit, just to give you a general startup idea. In between Bert and Ernie, there is an empty jar, and I've got a couple silver ounces hooked up as an anode cathode, as well as a 10 gram 24 karat gold bar on the anode side with a 1 ounce silver maple and then 2 1-ounce silver maples on the cathode sides. And then to the right of it is just pure salt water that I'll be pouring into it. I let the salt dissolve, saturate the water fully before pouring it in. And yeah, it's as simple as that. So I've had a lot of requests, people asking about it. Figured might as well do an update episode to show everyone what exactly it is. And on this one right here, this was copper and zinc monoatomics that I was making, and mostly zinc on the anode side there. You can see the pure white fluffy particles are what you want out of these metals to harvest, but in between there's a couple layers where there's crystallized particles or still solid state particles of this metal. And although it's not as toxic as the oxidized particles, the blue, green, teal colored that you never want, the diatomic, that will give you straight poisoning in heavy metals. The pure metal portions aren't good for you, but they're also, I don't think, necessarily horrible for you especially with the metals such as zinc, silver, and gold. Yes, that is true, but that is a topic for another alchemy stream that we will be doing. Inevitably, be turning this sort of thing into some mercury quicksilver. Anywho, enough of that. Well, I guess. Yeah. We'll put it what size? This size for everyone to see, or no, I guess a little bit better. There we go. Highlight it. Let me know how the sound is, if you can still hear me as I move over here. Hopefully everybody can still hear what I am saying with this. So Tesla Tech makes gold? No, I'm a little confused by this question. Will he fix it? Not entirely sure what you're referring to there. If you want to give a little clarification, I'll try to answer your question. Ooh, Aaron, buddy working on hydrogen converter generator. Love that. Love that. Sound is good. Perfect. Thank you, Justin JP. Let me know. All right, so you can see right here, it is the 2 silver coins. Oh, come on. Are you going to focus? Oh, I guess the camera doesn't really want to focus, but you got the silver coins and the gold as the anode and cathode. The wire going into it is just a simple USB cord that, oh, there we go. You can see the whole thing. USB cord, the anode, cathode sliced off and connected to the silver and gold within the jar. So very, very simple. Now we're pouring the salt water. This right here, salt water. So this is super saturated, as in there's still extra salt at the bottom, and the salt water diluted or dissolved within. Actually, just to, there we go, prevent spills using a funnel. And of course, as you know, when you go live, nothing ever works out perfectly. Just a little bit short on water, so we got to add a little bit more here. Salt is now dissolving within the water, so gonna let it just settle for a moment so that it's all dissolved salt water going in. Why, thank you, Tartarian Truth. I appreciate it. Yes, I do clothing and artwork and vending the majority of, well, before COVID and before I did streaming, so we got a whole lot of art. Crypto Burndo, my fembot, will be coming back into some podcasts soon. We got the fish tank. We got turtle tank. Tyson in the background. Microscope I'm going to be hooking up soon. Fun times. All right. Got distracted there, but I guess, yeah, we needed the water to settle a little bit. All right, so now you can see that both the gold and silver anode cathodes are submersed the bottom portions into the salt water. And yeah, time to plug it in and start the reaction of making these monoatomics, melting and turning solid metals into plasma state monoatomic matter, or what the ancients called mana. There we go, plugged it in. We should start to see some bubbling coming up if I hooked it up properly and it's working, and hopefully not bunk. Well, that's kind of boring. So, in the meantime, while things get settled and going, let's play a video. And it does actually look like the reaction is starting to work as the cloud forming on top of the water there. That looks like actually the monoatomics are starting to form, and that's not just salt now. That white cloud on the top half of the jar, the water there, is actually monoatomic silver and gold starting to form, and it will particulate particle. I always get screwed up on those words. Anywho, it will form and condensate. There we go. That's the word. Condensate towards the bottom, like the jar on the left of the monoatomic zinc that is there. Yeah, that PMG CJDV. That was actually quite the fascinating conversation and topic. I too was like, this very interesting about the mammoths and the mastodons. and everything that was found down the bones throughout Florida, the megafauna from before the last reset major cataclysm, end of Atlantean, or the Younger Dryas event there, everything that existed beforehand, and that the stories and tales of some cultures of those elephants being in the native tribes, and then brings in the question of how long ago were those civilizations and the resets actually. High frequency, low amps, high voltage. So for this, I'm doing very low voltage. It's only a little USB connector for a phone. I think it's 5 volts that I have putting in, or unusual. That's what it is. And I wouldn't recommend doing any more or higher than that, especially nothing high enough in voltage to create an arc plasma reaction through it. That's the exact opposite of what you want to do, as you'll start getting radiation and nuclear reactions, isotopes. And I will play right now a clip from a previous episode explaining what happens when you put in these higher voltages and create the plasma arc, and the real cold fusion plasma process that happens of it, where the hydrogens start transmuting into actual helium in this electrolysis cold fusion reaction. And that is where, as you increase the voltages, get the plasma reaction, that arc cold fusion happening. That's also where I theorize that you'll be able to start transmuting the metals as well, the solid metals, into other higher metals, the full fusion, cold fusion reactions happening. But for now, this is the beginning of it, with hydrogen combining into helium. And what I don't do, because there's serious risks of actual nuclear radiation exposure and very horrible health effects. But this awesome guy did do it in his garage science laboratory, braver than me. I do want a lab to start doing this sometime, because it's so freaking cool.
Those myths wrong. We're
Don't
going to
try it at
replicate
home.
the experiment. And this is
You'll
how we're
die,
going to do it.
according to Bob.
We're going to take our trusty tube that we used last week, but different things are going to go on. Let me show you.
All right, here's the heart of our machine. We have 2 rods of tungsten carbide.
Yes,
uninsulated,
definitely,
some
Jeremiah.
stainless perf.
100% you need to
One
run this
insulated
experiment.
with plastic coating, and these little porcelain insulators. You may recognize them. They are fuses. I took the end caps off, hollowed them out, slid them over our tungsten carbide rod for a little heat protection. I don't know if it's going to do much, but we have to do what we can, because the process inside here is going to be very, very violent and hot. Now, you can see that this is...
Sorry, I paused it there. Oh shit, I hadn't even, the sound was probably echoing. It wasn't that good. Before I continue with it, sadly, you're going to have to email it to me, Jeremiah. My phone sucks. I cannot receive pictures or multimedia files over text message for some stupid ass reason. So I never actually received the picture that you sent. Other questions going on here. I'm doing an episode with Rex Leak Project next weekend. I believe the Solomon's Temple from King Solomon actually rests in the Grand Canyon in the U.S., in the Grand Canyon Pyramid Complex. There's a map where all of the temples, each of those pyramid temples, are named, and one of them is named Solomon's Temple in the Grand Canyon, and there's a whole lot of gold and gold veins that are known to be within the Grand Canyon systems, and the legends of the lost cities underneath. I personally think that is a perfect fit for the legends of King Solomon's golden mines. And if there is all of that gold under there, no wonder they don't want anybody around it or finding it. And especially if it's on official native sacred land, and then the American government can't claim those gold reserves as their own, and thus keeping it extremely secret. Anywho, that's just my theory on Solomon's Temple, but that's a story for another day. Back to this guy doing real cold fusion, and yes, Jeremiah, I will send you the link for the original video with this guy, and where he's got all of the experiments parts list or whatever. Now I'm gonna shut up and play the vid.
Just the top of the water filter. Here we're going to have our thermometer, our negative and positive connections. Yes, they're just tubes, but there are connections. So now, let's put this puppy together.
Okay, now we're going to put some water in our little tank. Yes, you guessed it, it's going to be distilled water, not tap water, not spring water. It has to be distilled. So we're going to pour that in. Okay, we don't want to fill it up all the way, just halfway would be fine. Now we're going to put our anode and cathode array back inside, and that's basically how it sits. Now, we still have to put in our electrolyte, which is KOH. But first, I'm going to talk about the process a little more. Now, what happens in this chamber, it's going to make a plasma arc. It's also going to make hydrogen. What's going to happen when the plasma arc hits the hydrogen? You guessed it, it's going to burn the hydrogen. That's how this process works. The plasma arc and the current make hydrogen and burn hydrogen at the same time. That's why some people say that we can make over unity by using a little energy to excite the hydrogen to make more energy. This is what the big controversy is all about. I don't really care about the controversy. I just care that there is a process going on here, and we're going to get to experience it. Okay, now we're going to add some KOH. Again, nasty stuff. We're going to put on some safety gear. My trusty yellow glasses and some nice gloves. Again, I cannot stress safety. KOH, again, was used for drain cleaner. It's nasty stuff. You do not want it on your skin, and especially you do not want it in your eyes. So we have to be very careful with this stuff, okay? All right, we're going to start adding the KOH. Now I'm going to put in a little at a time so we don't put in too much. Again, if we get too much current flowing, the experiment's not going to work. If we don't get enough current flowing, the experiment's not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a little right now, and we're going to close it up, and then we're going to play with it. We're going to find out at what point we have the right current flow. Yeah, it's a little experimental, but you know, that's science. So we're going to put in a little more. And now we're going to screw it together, and we're going to put it back into our stand. Okay. Okay. So we have our transformer hooked up. We have our canister in place. We have our anode and cathode and our negative and positive hooked up. And also here, this little stainless tube is a thermometer, which is hooked up here so we can monitor our temperature. This is where the experiment's going to happen, is the temperature. Now, let's fire it up. Now we've plugged in our variac. Oops, I forgot to tell you what a variac is. This is a really big volume control, like on your stereo, except it controls current in volts. It regulates how much current flows through it. Like, let's say we wanted to limit the current that goes to our transformer. Well, we only turn the variac up to 10%. Now, as you can see on our gauges already, we're registering some current and some voltage. Now, we have to warm this up slowly. You can also see that we're bubbling here inside the reaction chamber. That is hydrogen being made. Now, because it's high current and not low current, we have less volume of hydrogen, but more current through the water, which heats up the water. If you watch closely, you'll see this thermometer click up. and it'll heat the water slowly. And we have to heat the water slowly for the next 10 or 15 minutes till we get it to 100 degrees before we can kick on full volume. If I was to turn on the power full right now with the Variac, you'd see the reaction, but only for a short bit. It would pop the breaker either on the Variac or the transformer or the breaker on the cell. One of them would go. That's why we have to heat the water to the right temperature to give it the right resistance to make this experiment work. So we're making a little hydrogen. We're up the temperature. As you notice, our voltage is relatively low. Our amperage has dropped down. Now I'm going to go ahead and give it some more power. You can see on our what's up meter, we're using 92 to 94 watts of power. I'm going to turn it up. So now we're using a little more power. Our amperage is 2.5. Our volts is at 50. We're bubbling down there, nothing special. Now, we are at 107 degrees. Now we're going to let her have it. There's our reaction. As you can notice, we're at 250 volts.
So I'm just pausing it here to add in and notice and state that it's this plasma arc, but like, so the arc between the anode and cathode there that creates the plasma, and within that plasma, this fourth state of high energy molecules all in that plasma bulb, the ball lightning, the arc, that is where the actual nuclear cold fusion is happening, and the transmutations of elements together in this cold fusion. Martin Fleischmann Bob Grenier of the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project, Martin Fleischmann being the deceased but original discoverer of cold fusion through electrolysis in the 1980s. And then they attacked him. They essentially debunked and discredited him, even though it's 100% legit. They just wanted to keep it classified. Shame, set back humanity by 30, 40 years, and proof in fact and why we now know that it's 100% true, and that Martin Fleischmann indeed sacrificed his life, as probably many of the ancient alchemists died with not knowing what they're doing and triggering some of these same sort of experiments and radiations and poisonings on themselves. He passed of cancer due to all of the radiation that he was exposed to. And that's why Bob Grenier calls it the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project, his YouTube channel, which I will load up after this. And Bob Grenier has done like 30 years of this, and like at least, I don't even know how old his channel is. I've been watching it forever, probably at least a decade, I believe, since I ever got into this, if not before. My own experiments of a decade now. Lost my train of thought. Oh, that he's also studied and verified under the microscope, under like the scientific analysis, everything of John Hutchinson's leftover transmutational metal samples, proving and showing and understanding, deciphering the reactions of those transmutational processes and whatnot that happened in that plasma state as well. Back to this video with the blue purple. Notice also that the cold fusion plasma is always ultraviolet in color, as opposed to the hot fusion when it turns into flame, and you have your red, orange, yellow plasma states reactions. And that's where modern nuclear fusion plants are still 15 years away, and you know they're going to be something, but it's just so impossible, and they're actually retarded because they're trying to have to get the solid metal materials into a hot plasma state, which then takes millions of degrees centigrade, and like oh, it's just insane. Like, and they're trying to just push it together with maximum energy and everything that, like, no, you don't want to have to recreate the sun to get your reaction going, and that's absolutely idiotic. Cold fusion is the exact opposite, where it's the smallest amount of energy to trigger the reaction of just vibrating on that same wave, that same little frequency, resonant frequency of the atom, of what you are, the matter that exists and what you're aiming for, and switching them out, and from photon light to electrical to physical atom and everything in between. Back to watching that cold fusion, arc, ultraviolet, cold plasma in electrolysis water, small amount of voltage, very, very cold, or not cold, but low energy, low temperature, producing 2 hydrogens into helium. And after we finish watching this happen, I will read to you what the hell I was just rambling about, this brand new article on the future of fusion, nuclear fusion, and how it's so stupid, and how they just got like $10 billion worth of funding, and hopefully it'll happen, be built in 15 years. Like, it's like, can you just give me like 1 million of that 10 billion, and I will get you your cold fusion reactors and your aka fusion reactors going in 2 years, 5 years for operating, or proof concept operating actual designs, and like, look right here, little reactor already working, proving it, let's test it, give me money, government or private angel investor. It's so frustrating. Anywho, enough of my rant, let's continue.
Amperage is going anywhere from 3 to 2, and that's the fusion process that supposedly is impossible. It's 182 Fahrenheit. That's warm. See, we're about a 1 3/4 to 2 amps fluctuating, 260 volts. And the temperature is going up slowly. Steam is starting to come out. We're steaming the water in only a few seconds of action. And it sounds cool too. Here, get a closer sound of that. Kind of sounds like a Ferrari underwater, huh? That's cool. Now, look at the what's up meter fluctuating. I think we might be losing an insulator. Okay, that's exciting. All right, our thermometer is officially not happy. And we're producing steam here, kids. All right. There it is. It works. We're done.
It's paradigm shifting. All the problems on this planet, bar natural phenomena, are caused by human beings. They're caused by the human condition. It's the greatest problem on the planet. Solving it has the power.
Sorry about the steep commercial. Is it gonna play? No.
To end
Oh my god.
all of the suffering.
Is there what the? Okay, I don't know what the hell is going on there. Sorry. All right. So that was a basic demonstration of actual cold fusion going on through electrolysis from. Okay, those are what? Is that the exact same camera? That doesn't make sense. Okay, okay, thank you, Aaron. Awesome. That's what we just watched. I guess actually I will load that up right now so that we can actually finish that and get some real scientific use out of it, and I'll put it in the chat for you as well. There, Jeremiah in the other room, or I guess you hopped over to the same chat room as Aaron. Oh, never mind. This is a different video. Completely different video, Mr. Aaron. Cool, though, but I don't know if that one will actually get us a copyright strike, so I will not be playing that this moment. But enough of all of that. I'm going to play Dutch Sense's recent yesterday's video of his demonstration of the Geopolymer that he's made, and the upcoming talk that I'll be having with him. Hopefully it'll be on Monday that we'll be doing the Dutch Sense interview, if not Wednesday or Tuesday, but it's a matter of arranging with Dutch, myself, and both Autodidactic and Paul Cook especially, and it's all the different frickin' time zones. But anywho, this right here, exciting stuff. Kudos to Dutch. That is why Dutch Sense is just an absolute, one of the thousands of reasons he's an absolute legend, because he just learns and tests and does it. That is true actual science and scientific method. And here are his 3 shapes of his first Geopolymer builds. From the first batch that he did a slab, he did a sphere ball, as well as a bowl. And he does mention, and especially in the comments, we're asking about including both crystals, some organic matter, and metal elements for making and into essentially orgone generators, as well as Dutch talks about wanting to add in some of the elements to make it batteries or generate solid state electrical generation, which is bang on and the ultimate goal for what this technology needs to be and used to be, most likely, and what has recently come out with the bricks can be built as electrical batteries, solid state batteries as well, theme and technology. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about and including and making these things into some sort of super building material that both powers your home and creates unlimited free energy potentially, which is just ridiculously cool if you think about it. So I'm going to fix the other camera while this plays. That's pretty epic, Victor Freeman. Heck yeah.
damn thing won't break. That one won't break. So flat will break after a fair amount of breaking, smashing. I have to get a density test, but pretty strong. So now I need to do waterproofing on this and add in sodium silicate. And as you can see in here, the mix is almost perfect. So we've got an aggregate in there, limestone flakes and flecks, granite flakes and flecks, but mainly limestone. You can see the granite, it's darker. And then we have kaolin clay, sodium carbonate, and clamshells. So yeah, I mean, dude, super strong. I mean, if you were doing this out of concrete and you were banging it as hard as I was just banging it, or glass or anything else, it would have shattered already. So it took some serious banging there for me to shatter that. This is 1 day cured. 1 day cured. So here, let me. This is up at 5 feet. I mean, it's not breaking. So strong. It's real strong. Now, Texas A&M University just magically did a full study and released the study during COVID lockdown on a Zoom call. And they found out that their geopolymer that they made using metakaolin clay with an aluminum silicate in it, 90 megapascals, which regular concrete for bridges and roads is 32 to 40 megapascals. Apparently, I didn't know anything about that, but so it's about twice as strong as regular Portland cement. And the strongest cements in the world are like up to 200, and that's with all kinds of additives and fibers and stuff in it. So to get 90 megapascals on a just metakaolin clay, basically, with sodium carbonate and so forth, that's huge. That's a big deal. You can make, I would think, you'd be able to make all kinds of stuff just without even the waterproofing, that you could do this for interior stuff in your house. Tiles, floor tiles, wall tiles, decorations, sculptures. And with the waterproofing, again, with the sodium silicate in it, then you could start doing outside applications like outside bricks, driveways, structures, buildings, and have them last twice as long as concrete. I could see why they would want to keep that on the down low and on the wraps. Why they would want to stop people from doing that, I understand. I think because structures would last for just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, as opposed to a couple hundred years, you'd have structures lasting thousands of years. And I don't know if they want that, whoever they are. But there it is again. So I'm going to mix this up. Let me show you. So this is out here in my garage. Sorry, I got a little mess going on here. But here's some of the granite little flakes that I put in just to strengthen it up. We've got silicate sand. We've got kaolin clay. I'm sorry, that's the limestone. That's powdered limestone, kaolin clay, and limestone flakes. And I also have graphene, copper, aluminum, zinc, and so forth to make the battery version of this. That, if you guys don't know, I several years ago discovered something that was huge, that you could generate power by using vitamins, inert materials like this, like solid materials, a solid state generator, basically. Something that generates power just out of a brick like this. But you can also paint it on paper and just generate the power on a piece of paper. But my idea is to do it in layers through the stone. So I have a layer, like 4 layers, one of which is graphene right in the middle, and that this piece of stone can generate power all day long as you have the layers set in the stone in the right order. So my idea is to do zinc layer, copper layer, aluminum layer, graphene layer, and then attach a wire to it and pull power out of it all day long, as it sits there and generates power all day long with the layers set in stone like that. So yeah, that's a big thing too. I'll try that, see if it works. It might not work, but we'll try it. And this strong material, again, this is, I mean, a 1/4 inch thick right there. And I mean, I could get it to break. I mean, if this is cinder block, yeah, there we go. So if that was a cinder block piece, 1 inch thick, it would still break. If I just give it a couple bangs on a countertop, the cinder block brick would break. So this being a 1/4 inch thick like that and taking that much to break, I'm pretty impressed. I really am. And again, it's 1 day cured. So yeah, I'm going to play around with it a lot more. I'm going to do all kinds of stuff, and I'm going to make my mixes for you guys. And I will be making an ashtray once I get the soda glass, or I'm sorry, once I get the water glass. I will make ashtrays to sell.
All right. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That will be one epic interview, discussion, and stream with Dutch Synths there, myself and Mr. Cook. Stellium 7, Mike, welcome. Good to see you as well, brother. Was just thinking of you. We're going to be doing a stream soon too on both the Star Forts and a lot of this electrolysis, geopolymer, and what I believe now, starting to believe now, supports the mud fossil theory and just a whole different type of science and geological process and the implications that it also has with biology. But now, if you're still here, Mr. Stellium 7, interesting. I also, it's hard sometimes to take Roger at Mud Fossil University on, as he calls himself, serious. And I had stopped paying attention to him for a while, especially when he started going off on these muon, like quasi particles, quantum particle, whatever the heck it is. Like, Jeremiah, you gotta just more up your field of understanding and explaining the proper physics lingo and science of it. But I found it interesting last night on the Alien Science stream that I was part of. Jeremy Reese was actually briefly going over and checking out Roger's little theory on these muon particles or whatever the heck, how he was getting these images. And it was mainly the geometries of the light fracturing and refracting and all of that caught Jeremy's eye into thinking, or like recognizing there actually was some sort of scientific merit to whatever Roger was actually doing in getting these images. I also am now wanting to take another look at it as well, because as Jeremy points out here, it could potentially be the geometries of the lattice structures that are so essential for this cold fusion technology in the alchemy electrolysis that I'm working on and trying to discover. So with that, I'll play a little clip of us on Alien Scientists last night going over Roger's muon stuff. The audience today, apparently.
Bob Laser.
All right, this is
LASER. Bob Laser.
So this guy has some cold fusion stuff, but he showed some really interesting images of atoms that I'd never seen before, especially right in the beginning, where he gets these, he shows like the particle, the point where he creates these alpha particles.
Yep, the mud fossil. I'm glad you're tackling this. I wondered about this, and his claims on this, because
it's interesting, right? Is look at the geometry of this, because what you have is like this point where he blasts this thing and it creates this particles out of it, and you have, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have a cube, and then on each face of the cube, it looks like there's 3 points on each face of the cube. So I brought out my my cube here. And I drew it. I'm drawing a triangle on each face now, and I just started to do this before the show, and I wanted to go live, but I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm gonna figure out some geometries to this to see how this works. There might be some hidden geometry to, like, the essence of these nuclei inside these diffraction patterns, which are occurring. I thought that's super interesting because this whole relates to the whole standard model of particle physics, which is this group. It's based on group theory, right?
What about other dimensions that maybe you see from a specific perspective?
This
Like
whole
emotion.
idea is that when you create these groups, well, this is the idea, is that you have space-time itself, which is generating these particles. So what is space? What is matter? Is all these questions are the deepest questions in physics. So it's like, we know that E equals mc squared. So mass is just energy that's trapped in,
Yeah, maybe it's actually time itself, because time always progresses. There's like no beginning of time progressing. Just things got chaotic.
Oh, what's wonderful is in condensed matter physics, we were able to turn light into something like matter, actually gave light a mass and caused it to travel at a lower than velocity c. So when it hit the target, these photons twisted the target, exerted a torque on the target. And this was the experiment done with rubidium atoms, or rubidium gas, ultra cooled, fired with a laser in order to give it some photons. And then they discovered 3 photons would actually start to loop each other, Ouroboros style, trying to chase their own tail. And when they were looping each other, trying to follow their own electric and magnetic field vectors in that structure, they traveled slower than c, and they also had a measurable mass due to the way that they were able to transfer physical inertia significantly stronger than just those 3 photons alone onto the target, and a torque. So if we can turn light into mass and matter, then it seems to be a pretty damn good point of evidence that its likely mass comes from electromagnetic phenomena entirely. And I guess you could say the same for inertia.
But everything quantum scales a wavelength, so maybe it's not just light
Yeah, but
waves.
remember the variables of that wavelength, the substructure that they lie on, that's also composed of several different variables which we can change independently to get different properties.
I think Jeremiah is right there. I mean, I think I think that's true.
The amount of variables that space-time has is pretty stark, pretty incredible. And the fact that you can change them independently by using isolated systems along specific axes and controlled matters, I think that's even more incredible. Synchrotron lasers are a great example of this. We take a beam of electrons that doesn't generate any magnetic field whatsoever as it's traveling along the straight line. You try to measure what the magnetic field of an electron beam is, and you're going to find that there's a lot of disagreement, because most will assume it must have a magnetic field due to the idea that all charged particles traveling through the vacuum generate a magnetic field. But it turns out, because there's a consistent electric field distribution, there is no magnetic field. As far as everything else sees those electrons in the electron beam moving near relativistic speeds, well, there's no electrons moving because the electric field is so...
Pictures, or is that shit fake?
I just think it was like advertising for the film, or just, I don't know. It just seems like someone like watched the, it just seems like it's like when there was like a call for more alien skulls and artifacts, and all these like weird artifacts started showing up with tablets, and it's like, dude, this stuff's totally fake.
I mean, there's some real stuff with like military showing obvious videos.
The videos of mud fossil there that you were showing quickly, like the shapes and the geometries, you're saying there's like substance too. What was like your overall take on Roger's theory, Jeremy, just before you go off to a different topic?
So that's this dude right here?
Yes, sir.
I did not get to watch the whole thing, but it seems like he's got this whole, muon catalyzed fusion, and well, she talks about that. It's definitely real. Like, they showed that this is the muons jump up and they lower that electron orbit, so you can get these things actually really close to one another, where you could, through energetic jolts and disturbances, you might be able to blast these things in and create fusion.
That's like exactly my science of trying to figure out, and essentially the resonant frequency of that atom is what you'd be talking about to do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, the main idea is that you load them inside these lattices, but it's not just the palladium lattice. There's also this muon element, I think, that needs to be a part of it, and I think that there might be ways to generate muons. I know that they're naturally generated with certain silicates inside of the certain silicate crystals. So there might be some, material science and AI is going to help us solve the cold fusion problem. So, Sabina Helsenfelter, she gave her analysis on cold fusion, but she, did her research and she admitted that, hey, this is real. It's not dead. It didn't die, like they said it did. But there's a problem with it. There's a couple different problems with it. And, he says that, he says very early on, the first thing he said in the video is that he's figured it out. And I really didn't get, I really didn't see that demonstrated in the whole video of,
he makes a lot of crazy claims, but like I'm gonna look more into this again because I stopped paying attention to Roger for a little while. Like that rock right there on his bottom right, he thinks is a duck head, and like all sorts of different stuff, like mountains are giants and all sorts of craziness. But I'm gonna pay attention to this episode and watch it and see what he's on.
It's pretty far out there, but it doesn't mean that he didn't get these images from a legit. He obviously follows some legit science and legit scientists. So these images
exactly.
These images are what's important. It's not doesn't. I mean, he's not the original. He's just a secondary source. He's not the original source of these images, I don't think. So it's not like it's coming from Roger from Mud Fossil this directly. So it doesn't matter that I stumbled across this channel and just watched a little bit of it and found this, and I used that as an example.
The only way you could tell that the image is true is just to do a signals analysis test on it, and then from there, like, deduction, I guess, from the original signal, if that makes any sense. Like I said, I'm still a novice in that field. That's the only way I think the authenticity of the signal, of the video.
One of the things I don't like is that he doesn't. When I show these papers, I try to leave all my tabs open, and then at the end I'll I don't always do it though, man. So, but I certainly don't leave out no links. It's nice when you show papers to like leave, or you show images from something if you to at least source it better. He might actually say it. I have to go back and watch it again.
All right, so I'm gonna pause that there. I just thought it was interesting, and you can go check out the full hour or 2-hour stream on the Alien Scientist channel. Yesterday's stream, and hopefully we will be doing another one together tomorrow with myself, a good old Jeremiah, who is in the live chat right now, join the technicians, Jeremy Reese, and Charlie C. That is Charlie Crawford III, and his work on the gravifier, which Alexei Cherkanov's, I believe it is. Anywho, and for a minute here, while I quickly go have a smoke outside and check on my little experiments I have out there, we will play a clip of Nick Cook and who I talked to on APEC a while back. It was an excellent APEC presentation. Nick has done a couple more videos with Tim Ventura since, all excellent stuff. And I emailed Nick Cook just last weekend, finally getting in touch with him, and he is stoked. We are planning a stream together here soon, very soon, within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that is something I'm looking forward to very much, and will be a very excellent episode. Deep, conscious discussions, free energy, electrical engineering. If you don't know who Nick Cook is, he's an absolute legend of a journalist and a reporter out of the UK that I believe worked for the Times magazine for a little while, and then has done 20 or 30 years reporting and tracking down UFO incidents, experiencers, testimonies, documenting it all, publishing it, writing several books, as well as then looking into free energy text designs, researching it, and written a few books on free energy as well. So it's going to be absolutely epic. What I have on screen right now that you can see on the left-hand side, all the condensation, particulates, whatever the heck you want to call it, the white clusters that kind of look like snow or like fluff powder starting to form on the inside there of the middle of the jar. That is monoatomic silver and gold plasma state, I believe. Silver, gold, atoms and matter collecting there and starting to form. I also believe that is what the alchemists considered or called the philosopher's stone. If my theory is right, well, maybe we got the cure or medicine solution, the technology, the resource, whatever you want to call it, the mana, the opportunity of being able to cure the degeneration in biological cells and give us hundreds of years of life if the legends are true and it's actually practical. Ooh, you just initiated the CF reactor, bro. It's ramping up right now. Jeremiah, do you want to come on? Do you want to, should I send you the link right now? Do you want to show this off? That's absolutely epic, brother. I'd love to have you on. Yeah, so any questions on the monoatomics? I'm going to go outside and send Jeremiah the link, and hopefully he comes on and shows this reactor. Pretty epic. And in the meantime, what was the video I was going to play? Oh, yeah, Nick Cook. Absolutely epic human being, amazing individual, and I can't wait to have him on this show for a one-on-one. And so without further ado, this is from my Burn Eyes APEC highlights, most amazing.
Nick, you are amazing. Thank you so much for everything you have done. I'm just wondering, would it be possible to schedule and book you for a interview stream, a follow-up with myself and Jeremy at a later
And yes,
date,
he
so that
is.
we can go further into consciousness?
Yeah, Bernie, for something like that, let's do this again. Let's put a pin in that. If you, Bernie, if you can email that to me, I know you just emailed me last week. Send that to me. I will forward that over to Nick, and we'll see. We'll do it that way.
I'd be happy to, Bernie. By the way, that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
So my question / comment is more about looking at consciousness as a scalable dimension, or existing through higher dimensions and lower dimensions, and from like a cellular level in like a 1 or 2D to existing like remote viewers, for instance, that they would be in a 4th or 5th dimensional consciousness where they're existing throughout space-time or localized space-time. And then anything of like a demigod or higher would be like a 5th, 6th, 7th, who knows how far up we go. But in our 3rd dimensional consciousness that is Earth, human of free will, and 2D would be emotional, good or bad, surviving. 3D is free will thinking. And then 4 is when you dream or when you have your out of body or whatnot, the quantum mechanic, or through space, traveling through space-time, essentially.
Well, Bernie, your thoughts on that are probably in advance, or in fact, I can categorically say they're some way in advance of my own. I mean, in the sense that, like you, I share the view that entities, if you would like to call them that, exist on a spectrum. We humans exist on a spectrum, and there are entities, I believe, that resonate and operate and exist at higher frequency, and there are those that operate and exist at lower frequency. I believe that. How that works, I haven't got too far into, but I do think that probably in our, well, let me backtrack. Like I say, I was lucky enough to know and work with for a while Ingo Swann, the godfather of remote viewing, and Ingo's mantra was that we are all a little bit psychic. It's just that not all of us either choose to turn that capacity or ability on, or it doesn't get turned on for us, but it's all latent. It's latent in all of us. So some of us see it and some of us don't. Some of us have, quotes, the gift, and some don't. But I do think that before we became, quotes, civilized, that as a species we probably had it ingrained or inbuilt into us more readily than we do at present. So I can well believe, or I find it easier to believe, that in our distant past we were more in tune to those dimensions, higher and lower, than we are today. So that's probably right now about as far as I could go. But in essence, I think we're on the same page.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bernie, and thank.
All right, so we got an interview with Nick Cook coming up pretty soon. Wow, Jeremiah, that's epic. You already got steam coming up off of it now. That's a lot of energy. That is, I'm looking forward to that. We will see shortly indeed. You've got me excited. All right, so now we got something even more to look forward to for tomorrow's stream with myself, Jeremiah, who will do some updates on this, Charles Crawford III, Charlie C on YouTube, and his Grabifier, the work of Alexei Cherkanov, and hopefully we'll have Jeremy Reese, Alien Scientist, there as well, and be live on that channel. Maybe Tim Ventura might show up. Mark Sokol with Falcon Space probably be there. And it's all about the upcoming APEC next week, next Saturday, and advancing all of these technologies, developing it, and bringing free energy and anti-gravity to all of you and us and this world together. And on that note, I'm sorry, I got to cut it short. I have to take off. Wasn't paying attention to my phone. My lovely partner is off of work, so I need to go get her. And we'll catch you on the next one. I'm going to leave this running right overnight. Oh, wow, look at that. You can see the gold forming, the gold crystal now, the sheet off around the top inch or centimeter there of the monoatomic gold-silver reaction. So we'll let it go and see how it turns out for tomorrow's stream. And also, I look forward to seeing and hearing Jeremiah's results there of the actual cold fusion helium reaction that he's currently reproducing from what we showed at the beginning of the stream. Look at that. That's how fast science happens with our team, and verifying it and making it happen and advance and all of that. So no, I'm not going to leave the stream running. I'm going to leave the reaction running. Actually, no, you know what? I will leave the stream running with just the two cameras on the jars going. I might as well, because I can turn it off from my phone. So let's leave it for a little bit longer going. And why the heck not? So on that note, I'm gonna play a little intro here, not intro, freaking one of the little videos while I tidy stuff up and set it off so I can take off and go pick up the wife while this keeps going. So give me a minute. I'll be right back on the other computer and we'll leave the experiments going. Ooh, fluid crystal. Yes, please do send that info. And the question on the crystal bugs, I will be doing that. And actually, you can almost see, this is what I theorize they might be calling those crystal bugs, is these little clusters like on the right-hand side, and of what I think are monoatomics and the plasmoids, and that they start moving around, they start growing nanotubes off of them that look like hairs and feelers and all sorts of stuff, and different segments in them. So that is what I actually think might be the starting of what Michael Faraday called the crystal bugs and whatnot. So for all of that, I hope that answered some questions. I'm turning off this camera. I'm going to turn off this computer, but leave the other one going so that we can keep everybody can see the reaction continue. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. I'm going to shut up now. Love you all. And intermission. That's the word I was looking Right, so there we go. Let's see if we can do this better. There we go. shows that. Does this guy? There we go. So you can see that there's a layer, an exclusion zone that is pure gold, pure yellow, and that is actually gold, like nano gold, not monoatomic gold, but nano solid gold that is in just that exclusion zone on the top of this reaction there, and that is pure gold forming, and the nano gold that is in that, and then the cloudy milky part below is the monoatomic gold and silver aspects of this. So very, very fascinating how it does this. The only thing is that once again I am getting this very toxic, nauseous gas that seems to be coming off of the reaction with making this philosopher's stone, the monoatomic gold silver combination. And it's the only time out of any of the reactions I've ever done with electrolysis with the different metals that I get something that smells toxic and nauseous and stinks up the whole house. And my dad actually complains about it, rightfully so, the past times that I've done it. And so I actually can't leave this reaction going while I'm gone all night because it will fume up the entire house and possibly poison my poor father, which I definitely do not want to do. And yeah, he would not be happy with me. So I'm sorry that I'm actually going to have to cut the stream here and turn this reaction off for now. Since I'm leaving for the night, but it's pretty cool stuff, pretty epic sort of thing, and that it's a reaction that I'm going to be studying more, documenting more, these different exclusion zones and the different states of these metals in their nano cluster states and crystal states, and the transmutations of these elements as well. Like that one there, this black coil you see right there, that was actually copper, and it coats itself in black. You can see the actual bubbles now, the hydrogen or Brown's gas, whatever it is that's coming up off of the cathode side, the 2 silver ounces on the cathode, bubbling both. There's micro little bubbles, which I believe are the atomic hydrogen, and then the bigger bubble, probably regular hydrogen or HHO. There's several different types of gases and bubbles that seem to come off the different cathodes and anodes on the different reactions of these electrolysis experiments, the alchemy. And it truly is a very fascinating science that needs so much more experimenting, documentation, and just inquiry and figuring out, because something fascinating happens every time. Monoatomic gold, guys, come on. Philosopher's Stone, how awesome is that? All right, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna get going. Poor Amber's waiting for me. This is some cool things. I'll give you the rest of the results of how it turns out on tomorrow's stream, and we'll turn on this little reactor tomorrow again when we come back and do another stream. So until then, love you all. Have a good one. Oops. Oops.
Come on.
This is the bit, isn't it? That confuses me. It's like, did we choose to come here to get this sorted out, or is this just seems a little unfair, doesn't it? That you know, we seem to be here and there's this Paris.
Nah, that would be great.
Everybody in?
Illuminati confirmed.
Illuminati confirmed. Okay.
Can't stop me. You will talk to them people.
Pragmatic.
Be careful, they're gonna take a scan of your eye.
Yeah. I like to get inside and drive along open roads.
Throw my paws, let's see your paws.
On life, wishing that the gas prices wasn't so high. The lust
Buddy, you are back. You are absolutely.
Sometimes success is deceiving to the eye, cause people say they rich when they just getting by. Television make you think it's something you can buy, but before you get the truth, you gotta sort through the lies. Choose your own path and walk on by. The only true failure is if you don't try.
Say what? You got the actual plasma arcs, and the reaction happening, it's boiling. Oh my god, you do need to show me this. You might as well just come on the link for 2 minutes. My poor girlfriend is gonna have to wait, but we got to make this super quick. Jeremiah, here's the link to join in. Please hop on ASAP so we can show everybody what the heck we're talking about. And Jeremiah replicated the cold fusion setup that we showed off just at the beginning of this stream. Already one more awesome engineer confirming and advancing cold fusion science just like that. So you got to fix a connection, just 1 minute. So while we wait that minute here, let's see what I can do. We will play a little intermediate while we wait for Jeremiah. My computer is pretty slow. Sorry, everybody.
Being autodidactics, the self-educated on what's actually out there.
He's trying to rediscover, research, remember. With what's gone on in the last few years, it's like, can we really trust the information we've been given about anything? You know, if they're not going to tell us what's good for us, for our mental and physical well-being, then why would they tell us the truth about where we came from? You know, that's the biggest thing, is people don't want to believe they've been lied to. You know, obviously no one wants to be lied to, and then the next bit after that is they would never do that to us. You know, the government loves us, but does it really? Because we trust the science. Like literally, they put on a front for us on their Tell Live Vision, where they have their cast and they do a broadcast from Hollywood with their little holly wands. But it's just a front, right? Just like they put on the buildings, it's just a front.
We used their foundations and then covered it with a facade. Catastrophism used to be taught in higher education as the geology. It wasn't the crustal displacement theory, it was catastrophism, and that there was many resets. So we're just starting to put the pictures back together and the maps and trying to add everything up because so much has been deleted.
Tartaria. Where did it come from? What's the real story?
It seems like, and there's a lot of, you know, debate about the word Tartaria, and of course, you know, we use it because, you know, it's a topic, that's the word people know, but it's the old world. But the more we look into this, I mean, Tartaria, basically in the old encyclopedia says it was basically the whole northern hemisphere at one point. So it seems that it was not a country as we think of them, but more of a civilization, I guess, where there was independent countries, but they were all sharing the same information and technology and working together. Yeah, and then basically over time, during catastrophes, it got broken apart, and those people who like to take advantage, shall we say, sort of jumped in and stole it all.
It's the same civilization, that same Slavic civilization and technology and whatnot, or group that later was Tartaria, and then I guess broke apart. It would have been right before the World Wars, right? That would have been the last remnants being wiped out.
You know, the censorship that we see now, that's a book burning. That's just the book burning, but done on the internet.
Burn it.
Time. You know, and the calendars and the dates, we know they're always flipping calendars around, right? You know, from Julian to Gregorian. We know we talked about the Slavic calendar being, you know, in the year 7000. We know that Judaism is in the year 5000 somewhere. You know, all these different dates, and we're told we're in the year 2022. But are we? And what does that even mean? Right? How can we be in the year 2022 if someone else is in the year 5000 and something, and someone else is in the year 7000, right?
Right, the grand cycle, and why so many ancient civilizations paid so much attention to it, and building measuring the megalithic structures that have lasted throughout all of time. That's the grand celestial calendar to this day. And it's why they're trying to have this great reset yet again.
Where are you, Jeremiah?
Everybody's waking up, so they want to try to erase it all over again.
All right.
Yeah, it's going.
We are back, and you are doing it.
I do want to point out the orange glow is because I'm using sodium instead of potassium, due to the fact that turns out I didn't grab my potassium hydroxide, I only grabbed my sodium hydroxide, so I'm just using what I have on hand. Either way, they're extremely strong alkali metals, and that's where the orange is coming from in this case, is because I chose to use sodium.
That's freaking awesome, Jeremiah.
Right? Simple. I guess I'll unplug it so it's not so noisy and I can hear you. Simple, dude. Super simple. Like, take a look. There's my incredibly not complicated power supply. I'll show you with the lights. Lights. Okay. Yep. Here's the power supply. 3 capacitors. I'm not even using a variac. I didn't care to. I just wired 3 AC capacitors, 45 microfarads each, in parallel to filter the AC line input. And there's the tungsten electrode. It's not a tungsten carbide. It's just a pure tungsten. And then there's a little stainless steel cup. That's it. And stainless steel cup, tungsten electrode, something to limit the current, capacitors in my case, and a highly alkali mixture, preferably potassium to react with the tungsten, but in this case, sodium is working too.
That is amazing, brother.
Wow. Yeah, the end of that electrode, definitely. That's
hot.
Yeah. Well, actually, this electrode was like dark black when it started out. I'm just trying to get my camera to, there we go. And it's rounded it off, polished it. This whole electrode didn't come polished at all. This was a quite dull thing. So it's nano coated it, polished it, and it's cleaned it up quite a bit. It's quite amazing. So there's definitely a surface change in the quality of this material. Normally when something corrodes away, I mean, we all know if something starts to rust away or corrode away, it doesn't get shinier.
Yeah, right? Like it might have enhanced it instead of weakened it in that reaction.
So who knows exactly what might be deposited on that surface, but I mean, it could even have a fine surface coating of sodium. And yeah, I just plug it right back in and it starts up instantly. So once that water is up to temperature, it's almost instant.
That is so cool.
Well, at least you got to show something on the same show, right? I know you got to go.
Exactly. That is badass. I appreciate it, brother. And
we will have to continue this on tomorrow with Jeremy and the alien scientist.
Yeah, I'll have to grab my potassium hydroxide while I'm out so that I can actually get that proper reaction against the tungsten electrode. But like I said, it's amazing.
That'll be
It still
cool
works.
too, right?
Oh.
And that to see the different, if it makes the different color of plasma
It will.
as well.
It will. It'll be a more purplish,
For sure.
it'll be a more purplish, like reddish color instead of being this bright orange. Sodium is so characteristically orange. You can't really get around that with sodium, unfortunately. So it's just the downside of using that material. It always looks like a hot arc, even when it's not.
For sure.
Well, all right,
sorry.
man. You better run.
I gotta
Take
go.
it easy.
Much love, everyone. Thank you, Jeremiah, and we will see everybody tomorrow. Have a good one.
Laser.